So welcome to the IAS Collaborative Orientation, and welcome, Joanne. So the objective of this orientation is to introduce all of us at the IAS to you, and to let you know what we can do for you and to support your work, and also how we would like to work with you. And then also we want to hear about your project um, and possible connections with other projects. In yesterday's orientation, we were really surprised and delighted to discover that two collaboratives that I didn't think really had any connection were actually like this. So I thought it was really exciting. What I want to start by saying is that the overall philosophy of the IAS administration of collaboratives is to support your work without putting a burden on your own departmental staff, because that basically the intellectual work of your collaborative is totally up to you, and that's your responsibility. But some of the getting the stuff done will fall to us, and it should not be falling to departmental staff, because like that's not in their job description. So the idea is to come to us with everything that you're doing that has to do with your collaborative. So let's start with Campus Forum to talk about communications and programming.
Excellent. Hello, my name is Brianna Menning, not obviously Campus Forum. I work in programs and communications at the IAS, and just wanted to kind of fill you in on what opportunities there are in terms of programming at the IAS for work that collaboratives do, as well as how we can help you, and communications stuff. And then I will hand off to Abby Travis, who works with me in both of those areas. So we do, I don't know how familiar you are with all of the IAS programming, but we also have IAS Thursdays, is one of the other programs like collaboratives that we run. And that is an event every Thursday of the academic year for the most part. And that can be a whole variety of things, and they run from 3:30 to 5 p.m. on Thursdays. We intentionally leave usually at least a couple of Thursdays open each semester for collaboratives that are interested in doing public programming with us. Now, you can certainly run public events, etc. Outside of IAS Thursdays. You are free to do what you would like. I will make the quick side note though, if you are going to do a public event that is not an IAS Thursday, don't do it at a competing time, or we will not be thrilled. Not that that's often a problem, but occasionally people forget that it looks like we're scheduling against ourselves, which is something we try not to do. But we are happy to work with you. So if you had ideas, whether it be for this upcoming spring semester, or if it would be for next fall semester, of something that you would like to do that you had built into your plans, but you wanted to potentially engage a larger audience, or as a way to make your dollars go further. Usually we share costs with collaboratives if they decide to do a public event as an IAS Thursday. So we can talk about sharing honoraria, or if probably most likely next fall, you were going to want to bring somebody in from out of town, since that likely is not happening in the spring. We could, talk about sharing costs for flight or hotel or that type of thing. If you're interested in doing that, we are happy to collaborate with you. I would say just get in touch with me with some ideas of kind of the type of thing that you're thinking about, and then we can figure out a way, if it makes sense as an IAS Thursday, or what tweaks may need to be made to make it work as an IAS Thursday. But we bring in individual speakers, we do panels, we do kind of a whole host of things in that setting. So that is certainly possible. If you are interested in doing something spring semester, I would say reach out to me soon, because we already have spring semester half of it is already completely scheduled. The other half, I have a number of things waiting in the wings that I've intentionally not scheduled because I wanted to make sure that we were able to have collaborative orientation and give collaboratives the chance to reach out about potentially doing something before we booked the entire semester up. So there'll probably be space for a couple of IAS Thursdays related to collaboratives if that's of interest. But yes, reach out soon. I would say ideally in the next couple of weeks, but definitely pre-Thanksgiving, because I think we'll probably have everything just about sewn up by Thanksgiving. Other stuff, we are happy to work with you to publicize public events that you're doing. We've been talking about, creating space on our websites for maybe some of the big events that you're doing. So maybe not every single event that you do, but advertising as well as in our own, our networks, whether it be our own social media channels or newsletter or, what makes it up onto the website for the IAS. But there are a whole host of things we can do. So just, please be in touch with us, and we are happy to help promote what you're doing to help build an audience, as well as just, the great work you are doing is also a reflection of the IAS. So we want you to succeed because it helps us succeed. So without being too cheesy, I will now hand it off to Abby.
Awesome. Hello, everyone, and it's really great to see both you, Pawan and Ritu, again. I miss our meetings. It's been sad to not meet with you on a weekly basis, but it's great to see you again. You know pretty well me, but for the benefit of recording, I'm Abby Travis. I'm the Communications and Programs Associate here at the IAS. The way that I tend to work with collaboratives, you'll receive kind of regular monthly-ish check-ins from me as a way of getting a good sense of what you're up to as collaboratives. And that is, there we go. And that is a good way of being able to check in and just see what you're up to. That's a good opportunity as a reminder just for you to check in and let me know, let the IAS know what you're up to. If you don't hear from me or if something changes between times when you hear from me, never hesitate to reach out to me, to Brianna, to Susannah, anyone else here at the IAS, and let us know what you're up to. Again, we always love to know what you're up to events-wise, other activities. Again, let us know what you're doing, send links our way, updates our way, anything, and we'll happily find a way to help you promote what you're up to. And again, we're always here to help spread the word. One of the ways that we do that is through our newsletter. Brianna and I work really closely together on that. Another thing that we do through our newsletter and through our website is we are posting weekly profiles of collaboratives. You may be seeing those in our newsletter and up on our website. And I was going to actually share the link. I'll do that in a moment when I'm not talking. So stay tuned for a little link in the chat of those. But we like to share little profiles of what the collaboratives are up to and who you are as a way of kind of creating a community of who all the collaboratives are and what you're up to. Another way that I work with collaboratives, and Pawan and Ritu, you're closely familiar with this, is by helping develop websites for collaboratives through Dash. There are a handful of ways that we do that, whether you already have a website or whether you are looking to freshly create a new website. Dash is available to help create those or administrate those or develop them, refresh them. The primary applications that the university supports are WordPress, Omeka, and potentially Drupal Lite. Every now and then, Dash is able to work with non-university supported web applications like Squarespace, although they typically don't encourage that collaboratives use those because you will have to pay for those out of your own funds. So if you're at all interested in working on websites, please do let me know and I'll be happy to connect you with Dash. I work with collaboratives as a sort of project manager to help you kind of problem solve and develop sites that way. Another way that I can work with collaboratives is, especially in this new world of Zoom events and online events, is I can help you problem solve and figure out how to run events digitally. Through our IAS Thursdays series, the IAS has gotten very good at running events online, and we have quite a bit of experience, and we're happy to help you problem solve and figure out how to run a variety of types and sizes and styles and approaches to events online. All the way from conceiving of what those events might look like, all the way from the very beginning, into how you can actually run that event on the day of. So if you're thinking about it and have no idea where to start, or even have a good idea but want someone to bounce some ideas off of, I'm here to help you do a little bit of problem solving. So don't hesitate to reach out if you'd like to chat. So there we go. But muted too soon. And Lori is going to talk about how she can be in contact and Open Rivers.
I was going to jump in, but I also had to unmute myself, so sorry, it took me a moment there. I'm Lori Moberg, and I am the project manager for the Mellon Environmental Stewardship, Place, and Community Initiative at the IAS, as well as the managing editor for a digital journal of public scholarship called Open Rivers, Rethinking Water, Place, and Community. Let me talk about Open Rivers a little bit first. So Open Rivers, like I said, is a digital journal of public scholarship. And so we spend a lot of time thinking about how to present work for a broad audience, both across disciplines, but also across community sectors as well. So if your work in any way aligns with sort of our core themes, we're happy to talk to you, which are questions of water, place, and community. We're happy to talk with you about publishing with us, sharing your work that way, if that seems like the right forum. If you're interested in thinking about your work and it doesn't quite align, but you're interested in thinking about public scholarship, we're happy to talk with you about that as well and help you think about some of the other platforms that might be great places for you to share that work. So that's one part of my job. The other piece is the Mellon Environmental Stewardship, Place, and Community Initiative, which is in its second year right now. And this is a 3-campus project. So we work with Morris and Duluth, as well as the Twin Cities campus. And the project has shifted a bit given the conditions of COVID, as I'm sure all of our work has in many ways. So we hope that in the coming months and years, there will be more opportunities to engage with the work. Right now it is, so the main objective of it is thinking about how to integrate humanities, Indigenous epistemologies and humanities into environmental thinking and environmental justice kinds of work. And so the project has both faculty members from each campus, as well as community partners in several different Indigenous communities around the state. So we're trying to think about how to make that create opportunities, even though we can't travel to see each other and visit different sites. Place-based work when you can't be in place is a little bit tricky, but we hope that there'll be opportunities for more of that moving forward. And if your work overlaps with any of that, we'd be happy to tell you more about that as time goes on and see how we might work together. Thanks. With that, I'll hand off to Joanne, who also works with me on both of those projects.
Hi, everyone. I'm Joanne Richardson, and I'm really pleased to meet you all. So as Lori mentioned, I'm on both the Mellon Environmental Project as well as Open Rivers. For Open Rivers, I'm the digital media and production manager. And so and then for the Mellon Project and others, I also work on digital tools, media, and workflow. So I am I get very excited about this stuff. I love a good spreadsheet. So I'm really happy to chat with you guys if you're ever sort of interested in hearing more about the way we do our work, and if I maybe have any ideas for the way you do your work. So with that, I'm going to mute again because I think we're about to have a clarinet lesson in the background. So, but it is a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you, everyone. So I will talk a little bit about what the IAS can do for you administratively. So as I said before, the idea is that you turn to us for these things instead of to your departmental staff. And one reason for that is that the money that you have been awarded actually stays at the IAS. So we are the people, our people, our accountant and so forth are the folks who actually have to do the processing and the approving and so forth. The funds that you have are awarded through December of next year. What is next year? 2021. And we do that in part because we used to just do annual awards, and as I'm sure you are learning, it sometimes takes a little while for things to get up and running, and often, you know, particularly if you want to bring somebody in or do a conference or something, you know, and you were starting in September or November or whatever to think about it, it's not going to happen in the spring. So the following year, yes. So your funds are available through December. I sent you those information sheets. They are also available on our website, and I'll show you where in just a moment. Please do follow those instructions, particularly if you have spent money and you want to get reimbursed through Chrome River, because that automatically rolls to your department chair for approval. And of course, your department chair, there's no reason why you're spending the IAS money. And so we do need to approve that. And once your department figures that out, as Jeannie and I discovered a couple weeks ago, it will go smoothly. And otherwise, so the info sheets, those are, I would call them legacy, because they talk a lot about the sorts of things that we've done with our collaboratives for the last 15 years, a lot of which has to do with in-person meetings and bringing people to campus. And obviously neither of those things are really happening this year. So there's some information in there that's not necessarily germane to what you might be doing this year, but there are specific instructions about what can and can't be reimbursed, and the university's policies, particularly about reimbursing food. So if you're going to be doing anything with food, please look at those very carefully. So those sheets, let me just show my screen. There we go. I will just, let's see. Share. Okay, can you see the IAS website now? Okay, great. So yes, here's the IAS website where you can find anything about collaboratives as in programs. Oh, and we are, all right, so we completely revamped our website in August and early September. We're still working on making it even better. And that includes fixing, well, anyways, collaboratives are in programs and they will stay there, but we will end up with a fewer things here. So anyways, you under programs, research and creative collaboratives, here's where we have all of our info. If you scroll down right now, you will notice that it's last year's collaboratives. That's a glitch that we're trying to fix. The current year collaboratives, you can find yourselves here. But if we're back up at the top where it says policy, administrative, and procedural information, click here, and that you can find all the PDFs of the information sheets that we sent you before. One other person who can't join us today on the IAS staff is Juliet Burba. She's our grants developer, and as I mentioned earlier, she's busy developing a grant today, so she can't be with us. But she is available to talk with you if you want to look for funding, for additional funding, outside funding of any sort, to support your work as it goes forward. And she's really good at brainstorming and that sort of thing. So so that is it for you know, the first section. Do you have any questions before yeah, so my cat has gotten up. Oh dear. All right. Do you have any questions thus far about anything that we've talked about? All right, well, then I would love to hear about, we have two collaboratives represented here, and we would love to hear about what it is that you're doing, and then see, there may be additional things that we want to, you know, the IAS can weigh in on. And Jeannie, why don't we start with you, because you are a continuing collaborative. You represent a continuing collaborative.
On my mic, thank you. So you just want me to talk a little bit about our work, or?
Yeah, you know, introduce your collaborative and what it is that, basically what you're, what you're doing and the kinds of activities that you're planning for this year.
Okay, so I am the co-convener of the Religion and the Public University Collaborative. Virajita Singh in the Office of Equity and Diversity is my counterpart, our other co-convener. And we are a collaborative that is focusing on reviewing literature in the area of church-state relations in the public and religion in the public university. We started about 2.5 years ago, or maybe it was 3 years ago now, as a reading group of faculty. Religious studies here is an interdepartmental program, so we draw our faculty from many different departments. So it was a reading group of faculty and staff and administrators, and then some community members as well, doing some shared readings around law and religion. And then we were funded by the IAS. We proposed the IAS Collaborative. We're funded by IAS and made it through our first full year, right? As a reading, continuing as a reading group. This is pre-COVID. Just got renewed at the beginning of January and hit COVID. So the plans that we intended to engage in, which were some lunches around questions of religion in the campus with students and then with faculty, got put on hold, basically. We're now moving ahead with those and doing those conversations, which were supposed to be in person. We'll be doing those through Zoom meetings. We spent much of the summer developing our website, which I just put in the chat. Thank you very much, Abby, for spearheading that process. And then we are also pairing up with the Upper Midwest American Academy of Religion, which is the major religious studies national scholarly organization. We're pairing up with their spring meeting in April, which always occurs here in the Twin Cities, and we're doing a pre-conference workshop for that on questions of religion and public universities. And so we're looking at things like accommodation of religious practices. We're looking at student experience. We're looking at legal questions. We're looking at religious discrimination. We're looking at religion as a component of intersectionality as part of the identity. So we have about I think our mailing list is about 35 people. We have regular meetings every 3 weeks or so that attract usually 8 to 12 people. Sometimes more than that. So we're doing pretty well. We have an event coming up next Friday where the authors of one of the books that we've been reading together the co-authors are going to be with us over the noon period to talk about their book. And I think we've got 17, 20 people signed up for that already. So it's exciting. We did get renewed for our second year. I don't know if there's third-year renewals, probably not, but there's so much excitement around this topic that we're probably going to continue in some form or fashion after our funding actually ends. Happy to ask.
The renewal thing is, thank you, Jeannie, yes. It really depends on what the collaborative does, what the objectives were, what our, so every year the selection is done by a committee from our board and our director, Jennifer Gunn. And what they often look for in terms of renewals is just the development of ideas. The progress isn't quite the right word, but in a sense that it's not just people that are just kind of sitting and doing the same thing year after year, but that there's some forward movement, that something is coming out of this. So, but we have had collaboratives that were renewed up to like 5 years. They changed a whole lot over that period. In fact, our 2 longest supported collaboratives have both fed into actual programs at the university now. Center for the Consortium for the Study of the Early Modern World and the new degree program in, why do I always forget it? HSPH.
Heritage Studies and Public History.
Thank you so much, Brianna. So, so that answers that question. Okay, Rita and Pawan, can you tell us about memory, movement, and montage?
Who wants to go? I can.
Yeah, you
I
can
don't
go.
mind.
Yeah, sure.
So basically the name of our project is Memory Movement Montage, and it's me. I'm Rituparna. I'm in France in a PhD program called Moves, Migration and Modernity. It's Pawan Sharma. He's in University of Minnesota, and then we have Professor Nida Sajid with us. So it's three of us who are the conveners. So the project focuses on the basic concept of migration and how, because migration in simple terms cannot be explained in one particular way or one particular method. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to make it academic as well as artistic projects. So people who are academically approaching migration in different platforms, different historical migrations, different contemporary migrations across the globe. Also people who are approaching migration through different creative and artistic mediums like performances, maybe music, maybe paintings, photography, films. So we're trying to create a space through this collaborative, where people from different parts of the world who are working on migration and with very different ideas can come together and interact and sort of create different smaller projects out of it. Also, we as a collaborative, because we have fundings available, we are trying to also collaborate with other performers who would need sort of funds for their own developing their own projects, individual projects, and would love to collaborate with us. And we are also making a website, and thank you, Abby, for that. We have been working on it for the past 1.5 months right now. It's coming out nicely now, and we are hoping we'll be able to sort of launch it by the beginning of the next year, which is January. So there we could, sort of share the different kinds of people who are working on different ideas of migration, different ideas of memory related to migration, different ideas of movement related to migration through objects or films or, any sort of different mediums of expression, basically. So that's what we are focusing on currently. So we had very different plans altogether when we sort of sat down and formulated the proposal. We really wanted to travel because, it's migration, so it doesn't really make sense if you're not traveling and not inviting people from all over the world. But that sort of is not going to happen anytime soon. It looks like that. So what we basically thought about was, we were really eager to sort of curate a festival, like 3 days long festival at University of Minnesota, where we could call people. It would, be actually a big grand event, but because it's not happening now, so we're trying to focus on the smaller projects, maybe not smaller in magnitude, but smaller in, number of people and the amount of traveling that needs to do. So currently, we are working on 2 film projects. So one, Pawan is heading it, and I think, Pawan, if you want to talk about it, you can. And then we have another collaborative who are working on, Pawan, hello? Yeah, if you could talk about the 2 film projects.
Yeah, I can talk about that.
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, we started to work on already 2 documentaries. So the theme of the documentaries itself about the navigation between spaces, and I was earlier working on, like, before getting the IAS grant, I was working on a couple of photo series which are also pertinent to the idea of migrations and the migrant identity in different spaces. Like recently, one of the the photo series was exhibited at the Kaufman Memorial Gallery. So that was the earlier project, but we kind of developed it and then thought that like throughout the IAS collaborative like funding, we should stick to a specific theme so that we like the collaborative kind of develop a specific theme and then we keep working on it through different mediums. So right now working on two like kind of collaborating with two projects. One is we are working here in the Minnesota itself. It's about the navigation between spaces through food specifically, and it's kind of like we are documenting the food practices among different migrant communities in the Twin Cities. And the idea was that as food practice is a very fascinating and it has a very significant relationship with the socio-cultural identity of the migrants. And so what specifically we are doing is that we are documenting three different food practices from three different communities, South Asian international students, um, a specific dish which kind of emerged out of Hmong community's interaction with the local Minnesotan food practices. And the third one is the Somalian family. So we are documenting how their cultural practice has like its own discourse within the transcultural migration tropes. So that's what we are doing for the first film, and we have kind of completed the first round of documenting the stories, but we are right now like stuck because of the COVID pandemic, because one of our crew member and one of their distant relative got tested positive. So we thought that it would be better to wait as of now. The second project we are For the second project we are collaborating with a filmmaker based in Taiwan, Shashwati Talukdar, and Professor Diti Mitra from University of New Orleans. Yeah, so we are collaborating with them. Both of them, they work with the North Indian migrant identities in Punjab. So they have already been working on this project since last 14 years. They had 4 field work projects in the North Indian with the like North Indian communities in Punjab. So we are not thinking to make a specific like a very long duration documentary with them, but what we are thinking, once we launch our website and then when we have our social media projects, we are thinking to develop a kind of micro blogging uh, different essays with those stories on our social media platforms. So as they have been like they have been working on this project since last 14 years, they have a like really interesting stories to tell, and we thought that as we are like planning to have different events online, Zoom is one thing. Like obviously we are planning for events on the Zoom, but we thought why don't we plan things which can be done online but in different artistic ways. So that's how we are doing these two projects.
Yeah, also, sorry, the second film project that we are doing in collaboration with them, they are planning to rather not make it into a film, but they could be educational short bits that could fit into the curriculum of migration studies, maybe develop a course and sort of integrate these videos and these essays into the course. And, they could be used academically as well, not just be there on the website and not just be there as resources, but could be developed further for any course on migration, so to say. Then coming down to the other projects, so we are also collaborating with the photo essay that Pavan is currently having in Kaufman Memorial. So yes, that pamphlet has IAS name, and they have that we are collaborating with them, and IAS is it's part of a larger project. And yeah, so because it's migration, it's the how migrants uses spaces, public spaces in New York City. So the photo is based on New York. The photo series is based in New York, but it's all migrant communities and how they sort of, associate themselves with the public spaces in the New York City. So that's what the photo series is about. So that's another thing that's happening right now. It's going on right now. Then moving on to the next certain things that we are doing. Right. So we are also developing a project with springboards for the arts. I think
Springboard
it'll
for
better if
arts.
Pavan, yeah,
Yes.
so it's one of our collaborative member in the team. We have Melissa. She is from Minnesota. She's from the Hmong community, and she is a visual artist. And they're trying to, Pavan and Melissa are trying to develop so they have a funding, and so we are trying to collaborate with them because they are giving sort of very, very minimal funding. But what they're trying to develop is an artifact, an actual material object that sort of represents a larger idea. And we are trying to portray migration through it. And we are trying to portray how time and space is sort of becomes non-linear through a process of migration. And we're trying to develop a planner basically through postcards, but then we said planner is something that sort of is reinforcing the idea of time and space. So rather we named it the unplanner, and we're trying to make it sort of reconfigure the idea of dividing time into, categories and weeks and days, and rather, give space for people to think and write the way they want to. And we are trying to relate it to the current situation of COVID, where we can't plan anything at all. We don't know when we'll be able to plan anything at all. So the uncertainties and ambiguities and how we can put it into a material object. So we're trying to conceptualize it right now. So we are still in that position. So that's another project that's we're trying to do in collaboration with the Springboards of Arts. So that's for this semester. And then in the spring, so whatever we thought that we were going to do this semester got pushed back. So it's now going to happen in the spring. And we are planning for online symposium because we can't do anything in person. So we're collaborating with people from Goa and India. We are collaborating with artists from there, musicians from there. And, so what we thought is talks are very common nowadays, and sort of that's the most common way of having an event online because, it's easy, but we don't really want to sort of constrict ourselves to talks, and we want performances to happen online, and somehow design sort of theater performances or music performances in certain ways which sort of collaborate with with academic work, and somehow try to design something that sort of, where people from both the worlds can come together, and sort of we can have a moderator and something, we can develop something. It's still in the sort of, we are conceptualizing it, how to do it, but then we have people from India who are going to collaborate for this. So my program we have 15 ESRs, early stage researchers, PhD people, who are working on different ideas of migration all over the world. So we are thinking about having a panel from Moves ESRs, where we can invite 3 people and have, sort of a talk with different ideas of migration on whatever they're working. Could be literature, could be actual consultants who work with migration in the UN, or different ideas coming together for one talk. And then we have somebody called Pankaj Tiwari, who's also one of our collaborators. He's in Amsterdam, DAS school, studying in DAS school. He's a performer, he's a curator, a theater artist, and he's trying to design something which sort of can happen online, an entire theater performance happening online, but not make it monotonous, or he's trying to figure things out with the digital forum. We are all trying to do that, like how to make it interesting and not just make it like a talk. So that's something that we have thought we're gonna do next in the spring, the coming spring. So we have about 3-4 talks lined up, and thank you for letting us know that the Thursdays are available. And also we are trying up with the department, Commons department.
Yes, we were not like aware about the how to collaborate with the IAS Thursdays. Now we know it, so probably we'll reach out to you, and then we'll try to plan out. So we have a tentative timeline for our events, which we have planned now. Maybe we'll have a meeting with all our conveners. We can meet, and then we can finalize the dates, and then we can reach out to you about the dates. But yeah, thank you so much for letting us know about that. We can
Yeah.
collaborate with IAS Thursdays.
For hosting the events. Also, their department have Fridays reserved for events as well. So we were thinking maybe we can use that space as well, because already the department is collaborating, and so that we don't clash with other events happening at the university as well, because that's a reserved space. So we could use up that time as well. So that's certain things that we have in mind, that we still need to we are developing the website, and as soon as it happens, we'll upload the calendar, which at least the events calendar, which will have the specific dates, so that it doesn't clash with other events. We'll make sure that that doesn't happen. I know that's where we are right now, I think. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thanks. You guys are really busy. I've two comments for your collaborative. One is that while you're figuring out how to use this new online space that we're all trying to figure out, I suppose you're doing this anyways, but do document what it is that you're doing, because I think that a little further down the line, that's the kind of thing that you might even be able to write a short piece about and publish. And the second, I can't remember whether I mentioned, but there are two people that I think you might be interested in working with. One is Tasula Hajani, who's in design, housing, and apparel in the School of Design. She's worked with migrant communities on space and how people use space, what their homes are like, and food is a very important part of that. So I can send you her info.
Yeah, that'll be nice, the spelling. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other is an artist who's on the faculty at University of Minnesota in Duluth, Young Kyung Soo, who has worked on, she's done installations that are specifically about migration and problems that migrants have. She is a material and cloth fabric artist who does really, really cool stuff. So I'll send you that stuff separately.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any comments or questions or anything about anything? Yeah, Richard?
So we just have one very, I don't know, we're still trying to figure that out. So we have people who are just participants and, collaborative for one event or one talk, and it's easy to give an honorarium to them. But for a project like filming, we need crew members who are there throughout a semester or maybe for a year with us. And, so I don't know, paying them, giving them a payment rather than an honorarium, it makes more sense. Sort of, I don't know if that's possible. We are trying to figure out how can that happen.
Yeah, if it's somebody that you're working with on an ongoing thing and you want to pay them periodically for their time, what we do is set up a contract, and then for, say, for a total amount of $5,000, and then they would just invoice us for, if they're getting paid $100 an hour, just worked 3 hours, so invoice for 300, that sort of thing. So yeah, just talk to me about what it is that you have in mind, and we'll get that whole process going. And wait, are they here? Are they outside of the U.S.? Not that it really matters.
Both.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No worries.
I also,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's I was reading the guidelines which you have shared with us about the payment and everything, and in terms of if we invite someone for talk who is who is coming from abroad, they need to present their visa for the event. Now, as we are having events online, and
Yep,
So
different situation. And as a matter of fact, our IAS Thursday presenter next week is resident in, and as far as we know, a citizen of Australia. So it's whenever we have somebody come in to do something, we, you know, if they're a US citizen or permanent resident, they just fill out the W-9 and that gets the tax info. And then we put that into the university system, and then they are a supplier. And once they are a supplier, we can pay them. If it's somebody who's not a US citizen or permanent resident, or for whatever reason doesn't have a social security number, it's just a different form. But it's the same thing. They fill out the form, they get it to me, and I put them into the system, and then they become a supplier, and then we send them money. The university will pay non-US based people. Will do wire payments. We can't do wire payments for people based in the US, but we will do wire payments for people based outside of the country if and often that's just a much simpler way of paying than having a check be issued probably in US dollars that then gets sent in an envelope that then gets lost, and you know, so wire transfers I think are preferable for international payments. So yeah, all that is good. Oh yeah, there's another idea. There's someone named Nancy Ann Coyne who also works with immigrants and migrants. She does, are you familiar with her work? It's called Speaking of Home. If you've seen, it might even still be up. I never go to St. Paul, but she has these amazing large installations in the skyways in downtown St. Paul. The first one was in Minneapolis some years ago, and then she had one up in St. Paul, and they still be up. Big pictures of people who have migrated here, pictures of them at their home, wherever their home is, and their stories. And they're up on scrims in the skyway, so you can see them from the street, and you can also see them and through them when you're in the skyway. So Nancy Ann Coyne is her name. And she's very focused on her own project, but it's stuff that you're also, you know, concerned with. So, you know, you can check out Speaking of Home and see if there might be some areas of connection there.
Sure.
Any other thoughts or questions or anything? Jeannie, I did get an answer. Did I send that to you? I don't think I did. I got an answer to your query about paying students with gift cards for participating in focus groups. And before COVID, yes, and now no. And I will, yeah. It's part of these stupid rules about, oh, we can't pay people extra. So
is there any way we can provide some sort of something for students?
I don't know, and that's something we can go into further. It's just, I don't know, the university's rules around COVID are just kind of crazy. And this just has to do with the fact that nobody was allowed to get any kind of salary increase, and they don't want people to do end runs by like just sending somebody and so we can talk about that further, but yeah, that is just the kind of, you know, if you have any random question about any kind of payment, ask me, and even if I think I know the answer, I will check someone who really does and then find out that no, the answer is different now in these crazy days. Yeah. 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 We do.
Can we pay honorarium to students who are already in the university? Because we have people who are participating in the film and we want to like give them something.
If you want to pay somebody who is currently at the university and working at the university, we can do that, but they get paid through payroll. So it will be taxed. And if they are graduate students, you'll also be charged the fringe rate, which is really high. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just the way it is. But yes, we can do it. We can pay anyone. We can pretty much pay anyone except, except, take that back. Maybe I better check with our accountant to see if we can still pay people extra for what they're doing. I would think so, but then again, you know.
So Susanna, how is like the psych department paying students?
I do not know because exactly. I mean, it could be that they have outside grant funding because those are probably still allowed.
Uh-huh.
So that's something that we will have to continue to look into.
Yeah. The other question then is, can we still pay an honoraria to the the scholars who are going to be
Oh
working?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, because they're not employed by the U.
Okay. So Schmalzbauer and Mahoney are coming in next week. Is there paperwork I need to send them?
Yeah. And I'll connect with you on that. I'll see if they're already suppliers, and if not, we'll need to get W-9s.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fun bureaucracy. You see, that's what we're here for.
Solving our problems.
Oh, well, I hope so.
Yeah, I wonder what psych department is doing to, for students who are, the medical school, for people who are subjects and tests, right?
Right. Again, if it's outside funding, that's probably how they're doing it. But I'll continue to look into that. Just
Yeah.
a
Thank you.
new and startling bump in the road. Semester full of startling bumps in the road.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks.
Anything else? Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for bringing your really cool work to the IAS. It's always so wonderful and exciting to see the variety of amazing creative work that goes on here, and it's an honor for us to be able to support it. Yeah.
Sorry, one last moment question. Before the renewal process, is there an expectation from the collaborative to spend an amount of money?
No, and especially not this year when the plans that everybody so carefully put together last January and submitted have all changed. No, and in fact, if you are renewed, you have these funds through December, but if you put in for a renewal and get renewed, then you carry it through the following year. You just keep going with that blob of money until your time is completely finished. I don't have the date at the top of my head, but the applications will be due, I think the end of the second week of spring semester, like essentially right around the time that they were last year. So we like the 1st or 2nd of February. And
So
we'll
be
soon.
sorry. So we'll be evaluated on the basis of the projects that we are doing and not how much we have spent.
Yeah, exactly. No, the reviewing panel will have no idea how much money you spent. And you'll be asked to talk about what it was that you thought you would be doing, what you have been doing, and you'll also be asked to have 3 to 5 letters of support, very short, like paragraphs of support from people that have been working with your project about the impact that it's had. So that call will go out sometime pretty soon, like in the first half of November.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Okay.
Yeah. And so Jeannie, I'll be in touch about those 2 different items.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all, and you know where to find us. Any question you have, really, it's always better to ask, especially these days when everything has changed. And we look forward to continuing to work with you. All right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend. Bye.